ऐसे मजे मजे में पी लिया।
मैं फ्रूट पीता था, ट्यूब।
मैंने पिया ना, मुझे भी दिमाग में चलने लगा, धीरे धीरे बीड़ी सिगरेट गांजा वाले सब सीख गया।
कपड़े से गीला करके पीते सुनते थे।
Innocent children addicted to lethal drugs. Dealers claim they are easy targets. LSD, MDMA, ecstasy, among other mind-altering drugs, are now popular among school children. And the number of children getting hooked to these is increasing at an alarming rate.
Many of the students have informed us that initially when they started taking drugs or got involved in it, it happened near their school premises.
This Thursday, Mirror now exposed the dirty underbelly of a drug racket that thrives undeterred in all major cities, and discovered that buying drugs has become as easy as shopping online.
It's business, you see, because nowadays money is all that's required in the world. If you have money, you have everything, and children are easy to target because they are.
But we continue with our focus right now on the fact that drugs are in my school's backyard, making drugs accessible to students across the country. We've also spoken to people from across the country. We've got voices coming in from Bhopal, from Amritsar, from Rohtak, of students who are addicted, of parents who don't know what to do, and a law enforcement machinery that has completely no clue on how to stop this. Listen to the voices that are coming in from Bhopal right now on what's happening right with the drug situation.
मजे मजे में पी लिया। जैसे एक गली है, ऑटो वाली गली, उसमें बैठते थे तो वो आ जाता था तो पी लेते थे हम। ऐसे धीरे धीरे आदत लग गई तो वो हमें ले जाता था बाइक में, हम पीना स्टार्ट कर दिए। तब भी कम पीते थे थोड़ा, बीच बाच में छोड़ने, फिर धीरे धीरे लत लग गई, अपने पैसे का लेने लगे, फिर ऐसे स्मैक पीने लगे।
सर घूमता है, मज़ा नहीं आता था। मेरे को सिखाया भी था किसी ने। 3-4 लड़के ना मतलब पहाड़ी जैसा घूमने लायक जैसे होता है ना, वहाँ पे 3-4 लड़के ना ये नशा कर रहे थे। मैंने वो कर रहे थे, मैं भी चलो मैं भी करूँ। एक बार उन्हें मार छीन के ना मैंने एक बार उनसे डलवा लिया, पिया, मेरा शरवर घूमा। फिर 3-4 दिन बाद मैं वो दोबारा मिलते थे मेरे को।
खराब दोस्त पकड़ लिए।
क्या कहते थे वो?
बोलते थे लो 1-2 कस लगा तो सीख गए ना था। पैसे घर से मांगते,
घर देते थे,
बोलते थे काय के लिए चाहिए तो अपन बोलते थे ऐसे चाहिए पैसे। घर वाले थोड़ा गाली बकते थे, फिर चुप हो जाते थे। मैं सुबह अलग टाइप हो जाता था, पागलपन दौड़ता था।
It has hugely affected my family life. I was very distant from my family. I was like a paying guest. I wouldn't share anything with my family. For me, they were just two human beings who've given me birth. Mentally, I had completely lost all relationships with my mom and dad and with my brother. And I had failed a year in my college, in my first year, because I was in full-fledged use of smoking hash. And then I would create a group of people who would want to smoke hash, and then if I had less money, so I would make people to contribute so that we can buy it in lump sum, and then they could also smoke and stuff like that. So I would make people bunk lectures just so that I could get my own high.
I am in addiction from last 2 years. There was a rehab in Amritsar, the neuropsychiatric party hospital. Then they also have the rehab, the Hermitage. It helps me a lot. After that, I'm doing job here. After two years completely, I did a job over here. Then I go back to home. Then I continue my study. I done GRE last 2 months ago. I did very good in that. I scored 308 marks out of 450 in GRE, and I also qualified for Florida University with 25% scholarship.
Well, that's really the truth of addicts across the country. People who have spoken to us to tell us how desperate the situation is, and how once you are addicted to drugs, there is very little that actually brings you back into society, and how then it becomes a lifelong problem. We're going to continue to talk about how we can identify this problem if one of our children is experimenting with drugs or has access to drugs, and what we should be doing collectively as a society to stop the problem. Joining me on the show this evening, Dr. Harish Shetty is a senior psychiatrist, Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer. Dr. Deepak Raheja is the director and chief psychiatrist of Hope Care India. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, national spokesperson of the BJP. Swaranjit Sen, the former DGP of Andhra Pradesh. We also have in Pune a recovering addict who is here to share his story, and he's being so brave tonight and helping so many parents and children across the country by telling us his story. Janvi Bhagat is a concerned parent joining us in Mumbai. Dr. Jay Prakash R is an additional professor and a child psychiatrist, and he's chief of behavioral pediatrics. He's also part of this program called Our Responsibility for Children, joining us from the Thiruvananthapuram studio where this program is actually being conducted. I welcome all of you to this conversation. I want to start with speaking to our guest in Pune, if you can hear me. Yeah. Tell us how you first got access to drugs and why you started using. And if your parents, and how long was it before your parents could tell that something was wrong?
Yeah, so I started drugs in my first year of college. With my friends. One of my friends introduced me to weed and smoking hash, and so I would so occasionally go to his house and smoke hash with him. I would see him rolling the joint, and then after a period of time, say 6 months, it became an obsession, and I got to know the source from where he would get the hash, and then it would be a compulsion that I wanted to have my own hash, and then I would arrange money to buy that hash because it was very costly back then. So 2,000 rupees what it charged me. So it took my parents around 6 years to come to know that I was using drugs.
Before they knew, and when they knew, by the time they knew, was it too late?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
It took your parents 6 years to find out that you were using drugs, and when they finally did find out, was it too late?
No, it is never too late to find out that you've been using drugs, because every time you have a chance to come out of it.
What is your message right now for parents who are listening on how they should be vigilant about the usage of drugs, and if they do discover that one of their children is using drugs, what should they do?
Okay, so my message to parents would be that be aware, be friendly with their kids when they're talking to them, and drugs is very common nowadays, so you know, if their kid is doing any kinds of drugs, it would be prevalent in their behavior. They would be very agitated, they would be very angry, they would be very rebellious. So if such kind of behavior is seen, they should monitor their kid and not let them know that they're trying to monitor them. And if such incident happen that their kid is doing drugs, they can take them to counseling, or they can contact rehabilitation centers where they can go for on OPD basis, and they can show their child that if he's completely in full-fledged use of the drug or he's just started.
All right, I want to bring in Swaranjit Sen right now. He's the former DGP Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Sen, thank you for joining us. This is obviously a huge problem, given specifically what has happened in Hyderabad over the last few days, where the drug bust that happened showed us that children were being targeted by drug peddlers. How deep-rooted is the problem at this point, and why is it that we are not able to stop it from a law and order point of view?
Well, you see, first of all, I would like to say that the biggest scourge that can happen on any society is drugs. Taking of drugs really destroys the person, his mind, and everything that he stands for. So the report which has come in the newspaper is certainly alarming, but I would rather have it being alarming rather than played down, because this is a problem which is quite prevalent. Now, how prevalent it is, we really do not know, because unless you get to the very bottom of the whole picture, you won't know how deep and how vast the channel of drugs is. Just by getting hold of these local people is not enough. We must know who are the suppliers, and who are the suppliers, and the chain goes very, very deep. So I don't know, it's a lot rests on the police to find out how deep is this problem. That's one thing.
Do you think there's a possibility? Do you think there's a possibility
anything that goes wrong in...
There's political backing, which is why we haven't managed to crack down, which is why the drugs have made their way all the way to our school compounds?
Well, it can't be any small fry who are involved in it. It has to be very big money people and people who are in power. So it is a very, very deep-rooted problem, and I think the police will have to create a very special, a very large cell to deal with this, because unless this problem is nipped in the bud, we have had it. You see, with the influx of people coming in from the other countries, especially America, where drugs are so prevalent, I'm sure many of the kids, I don't think that the report in the newspaper is so alarming. These kids of guys who become suddenly rich, you know, and try to show off by throwing money at their children and all that kind of thing. I mean, they're destroying the social fabric of the country, and in the process they're destroying the child and the country itself. So I would be very, very skeptical about, you know, where we can stop or how much we can spend or how large can be the organization. It has to be very, very elaborate.
Right. I just want to play this out. I want to play this out for our viewers right now. Just yesterday, the senior news editor of this channel, Mandar Phanse, spoke with a drug dealer in the city of Mumbai, in the greater Mumbai area, who talked about why he targets children, why they're selling drugs to children right now, and what these drugs look like. And I think it's important for all the parents who are watching to take a look at this, because this is what you're looking for. These are the kind of things that your children are accessing. This is what they're using. This is what you're looking for when you search through their pockets, when you see unusual behavior. We're just going to play out that, that conversation between Mandar and the drug dealer.
We were just tracking you for a long time now, and basically we wanted to know. I mean, you have been into it, and you know what exactly the rates are like, and is it really penetrated across the schools and the young boys and girls?
Yes, I'd say, because this is a drug which is easily available in all the areas. So most of the school students have contacts with the elders, I'd say, people who are in the early 25s or early 20s. They abuse them most of the times, and it's easily available in streets nowadays. So it's available in like 1,000, 1,500 or 1,800 rupees. So yes, it is penetrated in most of the students across.
Why you guys are into it? I mean, why the children are really targeted in the schools, and this is not the age when children should be introduced with such hazardous things.
That's correct. It's business, you see, because nowadays money is all that's required in the world. If you have money, you have everything, and children are easy to target because they are not sensible as of now. Until you are 21, you do not have that much of sense. So that is the reason they are targeted, and from children is where you get a lot of business.
And that's just the raw truth about it. It's a business for a lot of people who realize that children as young as 10, 12 or 13 are just easy targets. A lot of times these children might not have access to money, but they're stealing it from their parents' purses and wallets. They're selling small things they find around the house in order to support their drug habit. We also have information just coming in that 320 kgs of poppy straw worth 15 lakh rupees have been seized by the Bhiwani police. Just a month ago, 24 quintals worth 1 crore rupees was seized as well. So obviously, there's a huge problem across our country. The drugs that are coming in, that are going across state borders, that are entering into our cities, are almost unchecked. Moving 1 crore rupees worth of drugs is no small feat. It obviously means that these people have zero fear of what's happening. I want to bring in Dr. Jayaprakash R, who joins us from the Thiruvananthapuram studio. Dr. Jayaprakash, We understand that your program that you're working with, Our Responsibility for Children, is working at rehabilitating children and helping them when they have this sort of problem. Tell us the kind of cases you have faced in Kerala.
See, in Kerala, Trivandrum, we are having one project called UNARU, that is Adolescent School Mental Health Program. It is run by the Trivandrum District Panchayat for the last 10 years. That is a model for adolescent school mental health program. So we are getting a lot of children from different schools, high school and higher secondary schools from the district. And another one is, as you told, the ORC, that is across the state that project is going on. So usually we get a lot of children with from 8th standard, then 6th standard, 12th standard. So the particular behavior of these children are those who are taking drugs or alcohol. They will have a relationship with the senior friends. For example, an 8th standard student will be having friendship with the 12th standard students, or a 6th standard student will be having friendship with the 8th standard student. So that is a peculiar pattern, especially among the school students, not the community population, not the senior college students. We are coming across school students, especially high school and higher secondary students, who are having either relationship with the people outside the school backyard or school premise. So we are seeing lot of multiple substances like cannabis, then heroin, then this cough syrup. A lot of people are using this new over-the-counter drugs like cough syrup or some other painkillers, then alcohol. So multiple drugs they are using together. So under the influence of some senior friends, like a student in this 12th standard will be influencing the 10th standard student. So under the influence of senior peer group, senior friends, the students will start using the drugs. Any kind of drugs. So out of peer pressure for acceptance among the peer group, also people use it. So the adolescents usually use these drugs out of curiosity, like experimentation. Out of curiosity they starts with, then they move with this peer group, and to a certain extent it will continue. Then they will move with the senior friends and they will gather money. They will find out a way for gathering money to buy drugs. So then they start
allow me to bring in Gopal Krishna Agarwal, national spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Agarwal, several months ago, our Prime Minister, in one of his Mann Ki Baat conversations over the radio, said that a lot of people have been talking to him about the drug menace, and he noted that it was a serious issue, it was a serious problem. What has been done since then, since that comment? Is it being considered a serious problem within the government, within the central government? Because right now we are viewing this as a national crisis. Are we treating it like a crisis? Are we reacting to it like a crisis, Mr. Agarwal?
It's not a crisis, but it's a serious problem, we understand. Prime Minister has himself pointed out, and it's a concern that is shared by everybody. The government is concerned about it. There are several areas, geographical areas, which are reeling under the drug menace, and the program which you have shown today is for us an educative program. We also have come to know many things. But what I would like to mention around here also, many people has also mentioned it, that this drug problem with the young population of the country has to be looked into as social evil also. It's a very important that the availability will be checked by the government, but ultimately its use, abuse, etc. has to come through the awareness from the people, society at large, because young people, the parents have to be first, they have to be sensitized, because it's the first person. If the people come to know that somebody is having a wrong behavior or a disruptive,
who's going to sensitize the parents?
This kind of program government is also taking up.
So, Mr. Agarwal, let me respond to what you have just said. You've said, one second, Mr. Agarwal, let me respond to what you've just said. You said this is not a crisis, but it is a concern. Let me correct you there. It is a crisis. There is no clearer definition of a crisis than what we are talking about right now. Drugs are being made available in school compounds to children at the age of 10, 12 and 13. There are 13-year-old girls allowing themselves to be taken advantage of so they can afford the drugs that they need. Who is going to take responsibility? And the reason we have come to this point is because the government doesn't see this as a crisis and sees this as merely a concern. Because you want to... One second, I'm not done. You've also... One second. You've also said that you're grateful because through this program you have come to know, you think it is specific to certain geographies. I'll tell you what these geographies are. These geographies are Hyderabad, Trivandrum, Calicut, Bhopal, Delhi, Mumbai, Thane, Amritsar, Rohtak, Bangalore, Chennai, Pune. This sounds like almost all of the country. This sounds like it's a problem that is nationwide. It sounds like a crisis. And I am glad we were of service to the government today because you have come to know of the crisis because of us. But you should not have to wait for the media to bring it up. You are the government of the country. You should know before we know. What sort of state of affairs will we be in if you need us, a 2-month-old channel, to bring up what's happening in the state of affairs of this country, and you will only take note after we bring it up? You should have with you right now an entire file that lists out what the government is doing, because you should have already been doing it, because it is already a crisis. You cannot possibly expect to come in and say that because we found out, we now are going to take stock.
I never said fair. Now let me finish. Now you have to give me time for at least 2 minutes. One thing, I never said that we only found out, you only found out. You yourself has mentioned that Prime Minister himself had said and brought to the people notice that how serious this problem is. The seriousness is a different thing. The menace and the extent are issues which come to the knowledge of general public through awareness programs like this. I appreciated your effort. I never said that only from your channel we have come to know. We know the problem is there. You have not mentioned Northeast. I have been to so many places in Northeast Northeast Indian states. There is a big, very difficult, serious problem there. But this is not a crisis. Everything is a problem. It doesn't become a crisis by just saying it is a crisis. The problem, what we have to talk about the solution is, I told that this has to be created through. You may be, let me finish it.
You must listen to our guest from Pune right now, who is a recovering addict.
Just let me finish.
Who's sharing, one second, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. I believe that this guest is more important.
Let me finish.
One second, Mr. Agarwal.
You have to give me time. I have to complete my time. What you have allotted.
Most of the population.
One second, I'll come back to you. Respond to what he's saying, Mr. Agarwal. I want to listen to our guest from Pune, who is a recovering addict, who's come in to share his experience. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, we've heard you out. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, just 1 second. To our guest from Pune, please go ahead.
Let me complete. Then
if you come visit rehabs right now, the age criteria that the people you will see in the rehabs are young people, and it's very alarming, and it's a crisis because India is flooded with youths now, and if you keep supplying drugs to the youth which are freely available, like you get weed more than you would get medicine at a medical store, and at any hour of the day, even at 3 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. you'll get that weed. That is a big crisis which we are dealing in right now in our country. And this gentleman saying that it's a social problem, I don't think so. It's a problem. Our government should take it very seriously after Honorable Narendra Modi ji saying that
if you just
Mann Ki Baat.
quote 1 or 2 points, you will not get to the solution. You can put blame on anybody.
Nobody's putting the blame on you. Nobody's putting the blame on you. But we are looking at the gravity of the situation. Mr. Swaranjit Sen, do you believe, Mr. Sen, do you believe this is a crisis level situation?
It is a very serious problem.
Mr. Sen.
I was humble.
How long will it take to finish? There are others who are going to talk about it.
So taking it lightly, it's a it's very alarming. I'll appeal to all the citizens of India to take cognizance of this behavior.
And that was the only reason.
Okay, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, just 1 second. To our rest of our panelists, just 1 second. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal thinks we're taking advantage of his humility. Mr. Agarwal, if you listen for a minute, please. I'm giving you 2 minutes time. Go ahead and say whatever you want to say.
No, this is not. You should listen. No, I am not
I'm listening.
agreeing to your. No. You have to listen to me. This is not the way. You have to give me time. What is the 2 minutes that you have to give? I did not finish my statement. I said it is a beginning. Then you will cut off in the beginning and then put the blame. That is not the way. Then I can also shout. Who is the responsible?
Nobody shouting.
We are only
Nobody
for 3 years.
Is
this problem started from 3 years only? What is this? So then,
finish your statement.
Then listen. Wait. Yes. I said this is a problem. Yes, this is a serious problem. We are concerned, but we consider it's a law and order also. Its availability, but it has to be brought about. Parents have to be more cautious so that they know the change in the behavior of their children. It is first primary responsibility of the parents. If they are staying 24 hours with their children and then they don't come to know about their change in behavior, then they're putting every responsibility on the government. Then no person, citizen of the country has any responsibility. Everything will be done by the government. And you will say, oh, government is responsible for this. Government is this the way you solve problems, social problems? Are you saying that you just mention in the channel that government is responsible? It was by humility and humbleness. I said that it is nice. I appreciated the effort. But the people and citizens and the parents are more responsible. They should be, if they don't understand, they don't come to know the change in behavior of their child by staying 24 hours and then putting the blame everything on the government. How can you solve it?
It would have been better if it was an academic discussion.
Okay, so I've heard you out now, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. I have with me Janvi Bhagat, who is a parent who lives in the city of Mumbai. Janvi Bhagat.
Benefited out of this discussion.
Right, Janvi Bhagat. क्या आपको पता है कि गोपाल कृष्ण अग्रवाल बोल रहे हैं कि ये तो पेरेंट्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, पेरेंट्स को देखनी चाहिए कि बच्चे क्या कर रहे हैं, आपको 24 घंटे अपने बच्चे को ध्यान से देखनी चाहिए और आपको ये
पेरेंट की भी है.
I've heard you out.
I said पेरेंट की भी है.
पेरेंट की भी है तो पहले कौन किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी? आपके पेरेंट, इज इट आल्सो द पेरेंट्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, इज इट सोनली द पेरेंट्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी? Whose responsibility is it?
And government should control the availability.
So it is the government's responsibility to control the availability or to stop the availability.
Yes.
जानवी भगत, क्या आप जानते हैं?
Yes, it's important to stop the availability.
ड्रग यूज करने वाले बच्चे की कैसी बिहेवियर होती है और आपको कैसे डिटेक्ट करना होता है? क्या आप किसी ने स्कूल में या टीवी पे या न्यूज़पेपर में बड़ी सी एड में किसी ने आपको समझाया कि आप क्या ढूंढ रहे हैं, आपको क्या देखनी चाहिए पेरेंट होने के साथ?
नहीं, एक्चुअली सोशल अवेयरनेस ही नहीं है किसी भी स्कूल में या कॉलेज में. ये बोल रहे कि पेरेंट्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है विद द गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो. लेकिन कोई भी बच्चा अगर स्कूल में जा रहा है पढ़ने के लिए और उससे वहाँ पे ड्रग्स अवेलेबल हो रहे हैं तो ये तो मतलब पेरेंट्स उनको खरीद के नहीं दे रहे और ना ही स्कूल खरीद के दे रही है. गवर्नमेंट अवेलेबल कर रही है, गवर्नमेंट उस पर अपना कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रही है, इसके लिए वो एज लाइक टॉफ़ी या चॉकलेट्स की तरह वो अवेलेबल हो रही है बच्चों को. ये बोल रहे हैं कि कॉलेजेस में और स्कूल में एक सर्टन एज के बाद पेरेंट्स जो होते हैं वो बच्चे के लिए मोर प्रोटेक्टिव हो जाते हैं. लेकिन फिर स्कूल में जाने के बाद हम लोग उसमें इंटरफेयर नहीं कर सकते. और बहुत सारे स्कूल्स को पता होता है, जितने भी टॉप मोस्ट स्कूल्स हैं उनको सबको पता होता है कि अपने प्रेमाइसेस में या स्कूल के कंपाउंड के बाहर ये ड्रग्स के जो रैकेट से ये चल रहे हैं. बट जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेस्टिजियस इशू वो अपने स्कूल को मतलब बोलना नहीं चाहते कि हमारे स्कूल में ये प्रॉब्लम है. तो इस अवेयरनेस के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ ना कुछ तो ऐसे करने चाहिए रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन स्कूल के लिए ताकि वो अवेयरनेस लाए बच्चों में.
Mr. Swaranjit Sen, I want to come back to you. Is it primarily the parents' responsibility, these social problems?
Can I come in for 30 seconds?
No, let the other panelists finish speaking, please. They also deserve their time. Primarily parents' responsibility. We cannot blame the government. Is that true? Mr. Sen, do you agree?
Well, I think I do agree with Mr. Agarwal in that he said that, it's the parents' responsibility because the kids are at home and they can detect any kind of behavioral change. And they are the first people who must be concerned But let me also tell him that the government better regard it as a crisis, you know. When the Prime Minister goes to Israel and said we have got the 65% of the population as youth and young, we better take the best measures, the most stringent measures to see that this the scourge of drugs does not expand. It has to be treated as a crisis in the very beginning. So it's just not a concern, it is much more than that. And equally, I mean, the parents, yes, number one, but the government also has to step in with all the different kind of agencies to see that this kind of circulation of drugs is stopped. The third is the schools. I think the school teachers themselves could be detecting which child is deviant because of taking drugs. And I think there should be a better parent-teacher relationship on this matter, and really it has to be done on a very, very firm footing.
Right.
I don't think it has been given the concern that it
deserves. You're very right.
This
I
is
want to
what
bring
I
in
feel.
Swapnil here, but I also want to point out, as an ordinary citizen, there is something very, very worrying. Dr. Harish Shetty joins us. I'm going to go to Dr. Harish Shetty. Point number one, if you're saying parents are primarily responsible, who's informing the parents? Who's keeping the parents in the know about what they're looking for, what the latest kind of drug is? Janvi, क्या आपको मालूम है कि MDM या molecule क्या होता है?
नहीं.
Do you know, do the parents watching at home right now, do you know what meow meow is? Do you know what molecule is? Do you know what MDMA is? These are the drugs that children are using right now. You don't know what that is. And if you're saying that parents should detect unusual behavior, they will detect unusual behavior after their children have started using. Where did the drugs get into the school in the first place? Did the parents bring them in? Did they put them in their lunch boxes?
I don't know,
You have the audacity to tell us, sit here and look at your children and tell if they are drug addicts? Where are the drugs coming from? Where are the drugs coming from? This is absolutely outrageous. These are our children we are talking about. We just have a recovering addict on the panel who turned around and told us it took 6 years before his parents detected that there was a problem. 6 years because he hid it that well. And you will only begin to detect it once it reaches proportions where it starts to impact behavior, at which point the candidate is already an addict. Do we have that luxury?
I completely agree with you, ma'am.
Do we have that
I would like
luxury?
to take half a second here
Go ahead. To our guest from Pune.
and
Go ahead.
share with you that why it took 6 years for me, for my parents to detect it, because I went out and told them. They weren't even aware that I was doing it. So it was me who went ahead and told them I need help. So nor were my parents sensitized, nor even my school was sensitized, nor was my college sensitized, nor even the community was sensitized. So the behavior of an addict you won't even come to know, because they're so cunning, they're so baffling, that a normal person wouldn't even come to know that this individual sitting here right now with me in the room is an addict. So that's why it took like 6 years. And there are people like bhaji walas who are like selling bhaji, and plus they are selling you weed. There are people at Pan Patti who are selling you weed in a packet of cigarette you can't even make out. So they are that deeply rooted in the system.
Dr. Harish
Shetty,
Dr. Harish Shetty, addicts are also compulsive liars who do a very good job at hiding the problem. Is it fair to say parents should detect the problem with unusual behavior? Shouldn't we stop supply
first? What about those
first?
people who are selling it?
Shouldn't we stop supply first? Dr. Harish Shetty.
Those who are selling it.
Am I supposed to answer this, or am I supposed to just listen?
Dr. Harish Shetty, go ahead.
I am coming into this debate after 45 minutes, and I don't want any interruption. Drug addiction and terrorism are equally bad. It's as bad. It's not a concern, it's a crisis. What are the agencies doing to bring down the supply? There are multiple agencies who are supposed to cut the supply. Narcotic Control Board, DRI, Customs, Police, multiple agencies. They are much behind. The mafia is much ahead of these agencies. The number of halls across the country is extremely poor. The marketing of the drug is very strong. When I was doing my psychiatry, I was trained to say that if the father is an alcoholic, the son will become an addict. Not so. The availability of the drug, the easy availability, sophisticated marketing has caused this problem in an era where globalization does not allow parents and children to talk. Parents work for 12 to 14 hours. They have no time to speak to kids. Kids are in school. It's not about awareness. It's not a concern. It's a crisis. And if the government does not look into it, and I don't want enforcement agencies to give awareness talks. The job of the enforcement agencies is to decrease the supply. The job of psychiatrists is to bring down the demand. So we have found that in so many states, the narcotic police officers and the enforcement agencies, they go to school and give awareness talks. That's not their job. Their job is to crack on the labs which are very small. All these chemical drugs, MDMA, meth and meow, can be made in small rooms. These have to be cracked first. Number two, there has to be a massive awareness, as awareness in terrorism, as awareness in Swachh Bharat, as awareness on GST. I think that should be the scale. We are being completely destroyed by agencies which know how to sell and who are much smarter than the enforcement agencies of the country. I agree that awareness of parents, I was very shocked by the government spokesman who was saying that what is the parent doing for 24 hours? Parent, you have made them stand in the queues of demonetization. You have made them work for 12 to 14 hours a day. The work ethic of a bank in America and the work ethic of the same bank in India is different. In America, they would work 7 to 8 hours a day, and here they work 14 hours a day. So do not ask the parents what are they doing. I'm going to ask you, how many agencies are there which are supposed to nab these drugs? How many labs have been cracked? Government has to focus, because this is not a concern. This is a major crisis, as bad as terrorism.
Gopal Krishna Agarwal, please respond.
Faye, can I come in? One thing is, the parents here, you are coming out in a direction where parents have limitation, school teacher has a limitation, school has limitation, media has limitation, the person who is selling, making available the drugs, pan wala, sabji wala, they have a limitation. Only the government is not working without any limitation. Is this a scenario in which you can give governance?
The spokesperson to enumerate
Understand,
the
the
drugs which are
problem
available in
is
the country
serious.
first.
Just wait now, I listen to you. Just listen to me. Doctor has a limitation. Everybody in the society has a limitation. Only government is working in unlimited arena. If this you are talking, you are just trying to push the blame.
Yes.
I am accepting the government is responsible for making crackdown on availability, but others also have the responsibility. You should take it in that spirit. I did not say the government is not responsible. Only
why don't you crack down on the availability? Number of agencies.
Only media is
How many halls have you made
only
in the country?
doctor is responsible. Did I say that? This was, if you tackle
It's not about
problems in
blaming,
this way,
sir. It's about you are the
nothing
government. You know the boundaries of the country. You know from which area which drug is going to come.
This is, you know, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, as much as you might want to argue this out, I'm afraid you are completely outnumbered on this panel. Everybody on this panel believes the fact that these drugs are available at all, the fact that they're available at our school doorsteps, inside school compounds, being dealt to children at the age of 13. I think this is solely, I'm sorry, this package stops at your doorstep. The government of India is solely responsible. Solely, let me say this very, very clearly, solely responsible if drugs are coming into this country and are being supplied to our children. Yes, we will watch our children. Yes, we will go through their pockets. After they have access to drugs, if their behavior tends to change, parents will be vigilant.
They are our children. But we take care of the all children.
Don't give me rhetoric.
Our children.
But
we are
how did the drugs get in to begin with? Swapnil Kothari, whose responsibility is this?
The responsibility is very clear, and it's that of the government, both at the central level and at the state level. I will tell my child not to do drugs at all. But that's where my responsibility ends, and I will also try to monitor the situation. But the aspect of supply and demand stems from the government. Who is supposed to stop, not control, stop completely the passage of drugs, the influx of drugs, or the passage of
Demand,
drugs
how can
from
the government,
one state to the other. Mr. Agarwal, may I finish, please? I did not interrupt you when you spoke. When this channel talks about Nirbhaya Fund unutilized, you talk about stoppage of open defecation. When this channel speaks about the grave situation and a national crisis of drugs, you talk about serious concern. Let's not hide behind verbiage and semantics. Let's talk absolute sense and pure, let's address the issue in its face. If I recommend that you please read the judgment of Bachpan Bachao Andolan versus Union of India. In that, the Supreme Court lists out conventions, UN conventions, are only one NDPS act. It does not, and the Juvenile Justice Act addressing the issue of sexual assault, and by the by, the issue of drug menace. There is not a single mention of the IPC in that. The Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013 incorporated only sexual assault. It did not incorporate anything relating to drugs. So the government has failed.
What have we done?
So the government has failed not to address it has not even legislated. And as far as the second aspect is that of enforcement, what are the police? What is the police machinery doing as far as this aspect is concerned? The Narcotics Control Bureau was established in March 1986 with a full panoply of powers. 21 years later, down the road, the mafia is ahead of the Narcotics Control Bureau. Have we even given them, or are we waiting, say, for something like a 2611, and then we establish the NSG guards to address terrorism? So are we going to wait for something of that gravity to then bring out something, to prevent it?
Let's also ask this question. Dr. Deepak Raheja is a
this
child
rhetoric
psychologist.
will not address the issue.
This is not rhetoric, sir.
One thing I want to mention
asking you to look at it. This is not rhetoric. What is coming out from your end is absolute rhetoric. It's absolute tripe.
I want to know what has been done. Dr. Deepak Raheja, 1 second, Mr. Agarwal. Let's listen to the other panelists as well. I want to give them their 2 minutes. Dr. Deepak Raheja, have we done anything on a national level to solve the problem, including a one-page ad, perhaps, telling parents what they should be looking for? Has any of this been done on a national level so far?
Yes.
So what is extremely important here is the hashtag Udta India. If that is not enough for us to wake up and understand the magnitude of what we are dealing with, then I think we are all in oblivion and we are just trying to create a debate about a situation where there can be no debate, because I don't think in this situation there can be any for or any against. We are all on the same page. It is absolutely unfair to pass on the buck to say that the government will do anything revolutionary. It's intensely deep-rooted problem which has many facets, which includes psychological facets, which includes sociological facets, which includes biological vulnerability. Just telling children not to do drugs is not enough. The availability definitely has a role to play. But both the approaches have to go together, the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. So if the availability has to be reduced, if at the primary level, if we are to work towards prevention, then we'll have to really go all out and create a campaign where we can reach out to children in school, because we are now dealing with a whole lobby of children who stand up using gateway drugs like tobacco to begin with, then alcohol, and then they crusade to say that it might be absolutely all right for them to use weed, because they will find and show literature from internet to say that it's a herb and it's a plant and it's okay for them to use. So that is one area and the magnitude that we have to deal with. Now, if we draw a parallel and look at the problem of substance abuse amongst children on the street, it is rampant again. You can't imagine the quantum and the magnitude of young kids who are getting addicted to using solvents, and because of very minimal monitoring, very minimal support system, you will find them growing up in a few years to taking up to very intense antisocial activities, and then as a society we'll be dealing with sexual abuses and crimes of all kinds that will become more rampant. So I don't think we need to really create a debate and wait for the government to do anything revolutionary or the parents to pass on the buck, or us as a society to stand up, wake up to the fact that this is really now Udta India, and if India is going to deal with the situation, Prime Minister, Mr. Modi is very, very aware, and he's spoken about it in Man Ki Baat. But I think all of us now need to pull up our socks, get together, and not just leave it for doctors or psychiatrists or very few treatment and rehabilitation center and resources that are available in the country. I think we need more standardized models of treatment. But as we do that, I think we need to also gear up and create momentum where, like you said, maybe more awareness, more attention in national dailies, on national channels to talk about it.
Dr. Jayaprakash R.
Hello.
Won't we solve the problem if supply is cut off? Do you believe, one second, Dr. Jayaprakash R, we need to cut off supply completely, and do you believe that this chain of supply involves some of the most powerful people in our states, within the police force perhaps, within law and order, perhaps also within politics, who are allowing the supply to come into our states and our cities?
We are having, actually I was just listening to this discussion by sitting in the most southern part of India. We are having lot of models which were already time tested and successful models we are having. So the important thing is that lot of people have to work together. First is the family have to work with their children. See, the drug abuse risk factors exist in certain families where the child-parent relationship is totally restrained, or there is a gap in the child-parent relationship. So risk factor is there in the family. Then the people have to work with the teachers. We have worked with the teachers. We have selected teachers and trained them in primary counseling, and so they are working with the students in their respective schools. Then the availability of drugs. There comes the importance of the government or the system. So the easy availability and accessibility of the drugs plays a most important role in propagating the drug abuse, especially among children and adolescents. So the availability have to be curtailed. So how to bring down the availability, that is very important. So a lot of small petty shops are there near the schools, the premise of schools. You will get any kind of banned illicit drugs in these petty shops. Here lies the importance of the government and the police system. They have to periodically do checking and book these fellows. Then only the availability can be made to come down. So that is the importance.
Right.
So
right.
easy
let me bring in Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, the Prime Minister speaking in Germany at the G20 summit has just said that demonetization has dealt a blow to corruption in the country. Why can't we similarly deal a blow to drugs in this country?
Ms. Faye, I would like to bring your attention here for a minute, because we have less time and I have something very important to say.
We are aware of this problem. The government is aware of this problem. Prime Minister himself has said we will take all care to control this menace. It's a large spread menace across many regions of the country. But I would like to mention here is that just raising the rhetoric and just now going back home and thinking that we have pushed the government to the wall. Now every responsibility we have pushed to the government.
Tell me what you're doing specifically to solve the problem.
Do nothing, so then this problem will not be.
Tell me what you're doing specifically to solve the problem.
Government is coming out with drug policies restricting. We ourselves have come out, NGOs are being involved into those activities. Northeast, we have done a lot of work on the drug menace. There are NGOs which have been involved.
NGOs by definition are not government.
Suffering from them.
NGOs by definition are not government. Tell me what government is doing.
The government is using this vehicle. The government is using that vehicle to create awareness and establish rehabilitation centers through NGOs, and CSR funds are being given through the companies, PSUs, other things. Ultimately, we think that it is large part of this menace can be controlled through awareness. If the people are identified at early stages who are being suffering from this menace, then it is easier for the government to tackle the problem.
Well, the question is, where is the intelligence that should be telling? Where is the intelligence that should be telling the police system where the drugs are coming in from? Which parts of our borders are porous? How are they entering our cities? Which vehicles are they being moved into? And what sort of formats are they being sold in? Where is that intelligence? Why do we not have that intelligence? Why are we not using surveillance for that? I want to give one quick word to Swaranjit Sen. Swaranjit Sen, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Everything. Who is not?
Yeah. I would like to say that I feel bad for Mr. Agarwal. You know, he's trying to support a very poor cause. The government has said so many things.
No, I'm not supporting.
We all know. It's very good. The intention is there. But is the implementation there? We are talking about implementation. I feel that everyone should have a zero tolerance towards drugs. Whether it's the government, whether it's the parents, whether it's the enforcement agencies. And if the police is not doing enough, well, you should bring it out in the public, just as Miraz now is doing. I think you are doing a great job by bringing this whole problem, this very, very serious problem, to a head. And I hope everyone sits up and takes cognizance of it. I thank you very much, because I feel it's a very serious problem. And if we have got the youngest population in the world, we better treat it as a crisis matter.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Sen. I also appreciate the time that you have dedicated to this conversation. I want to bring in, I want to give the last word now to our Pune guest who said he had something important to share with us, and he's being so brave with his personal story. Go ahead.
So it is very important for the society to be sensitive towards addicts and give them social acceptance. Because not labeling them that they are addicts and looking at them, he's a drunkard or he's an addict, would let them be more open in the society, share their story, so that more youth becomes aware that such an addiction would cause them such mishaps, and they would make such mistakes, and they would rob their fathers or mothers' money, and they will lose the love of their parents and things like that. So society and the family and the government needs to work together in order to sensitize this issue, because not one person can be blamed for this. It's a whole collective thing, and together we can stop this crisis.
Thank you. Thank you. While I have run out of time tonight, we have not run out of time on this channel, and we will continue to keep bringing it up. I want to thank every member of our panel tonight for giving us time. And I hope that you will continue to give us time. Dr. Harish Shetty, Dr. Deepak Raheja, I know I wasn't able to come to you as often as I would have liked to. I hope you will be part of further conversations. Dr. Jaiprakash R, who joins us from Thiruvananthapuram, I appreciate your time as well. Swapnil Kothari. I just want to say one thing. Beti Bachao, Stand Up India, Start Up India, Make in India, Swachh Bharat, none of this will matter if we completely squander away the potential and the future of this country, which is solely and only our children and our youth. If we're making drugs, and I'm saying making, we're making drugs available in every school, and remember, this is on the streets, in the government schools, in the municipality schools, in the state syllabus schools, in the ICSE schools, in the CBSE schools and the international schools. They are in all the schools and in all the price ranges. They are available to all these children. All drug pushers and peddlers have figured out that if you target a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old, you have a sure shot customer. If you lace chocolates and sweets with drugs and give it to a 10-year-old, that 10-year-old will keep coming back for more, and then that 10-year-old will find ways to pay you and bring you other 10-year-olds. This is what is happening. And the problem, while it may seem like it is the drug peddler on the street who's selling 1 gram, that is just a symptom. The problem are the many kgs of drugs that are coming into our country, into our state borders, into our city borders. That is what we should be checking. That is what we should be looking at. There has never been a bigger time for us to put aside our differences of politics, right wing, left wing, this sort of religion, that sort of religion. I don't give a damn. This is the problem that should unite us as a country. We cannot afford another day to sit around and blame each other. Parents, teachers, principals, police, the judiciary, the lawyers. We can blame as many people as we want to, but the truth is, for as long as the drugs are available, someone will sell them, someone will buy them, and someone's future will be destroyed. We cannot afford it. We simply cannot afford it, and we will stay on this story like a mosquito until it's so annoying that the government has no choice but to come up with a program that educates parents and teachers, that forces principals to be more vigilant, that forces the law and order machinery to crack down, and finally brings about regulation that puts down the harshest punishment, not for those people peddling drugs, but for those people taking bribes and looking away because this is your fault. And now we are on to you. We will dig to the bottom until we find every name of the person who has looked the other way and allowed this to happen to our children. We will not sleep tonight, and I promise you, you won't either. Thanks for watching.